You did everything they told you to do. You made the spreadsheet. You cancelled the subscriptions. You stopped buying the coffee. You moved your money into the account with the highest interest rate you could find. And every month, without fail, you put something aside. You have been disciplined for years. And you are not free. You are not close to free. You look at the balance and you do the arithmetic in your head, and you realize that at this rate, the number you need arrives sometime after you stop being able to enjoy it. Here is what nobody tells you. It is not your discipline that failed. Your discipline is fine. Your discipline is, honestly, better than most. What failed is the container you put the money in. We are taught from the time we are children that saving is the safe thing and investing is the risky thing. I want to put a different idea in front of you. Over the last 30 years, inflation in Australia averaged 2.6% a year. That is not a crisis number. That is not a pandemic number or an oil shock number. That is the ordinary, background, nobody writes a headline about it, rate of Australian inflation. At 2.6%, a dollar sitting in cash loses 23% of its purchasing power over 10 years. Over 25 years, it loses 47%. Half. Your money buys half of what it used to buy, and at no point did anything dramatic happen. There was no crash. There was no bad decision. You simply held the safe thing, and the safe thing quietly took half of it. Right now, inflation is running at 4%. At 4%, 25 years takes 62%. So let me say the thing that sounds like a provocation, but is actually just arithmetic. Not investing is not the cautious choice. Not investing is a position. It is a bet that the cost of living will stop rising. And it is a bet you lose every single year, in small amounts, until one day the amount is not small anymore. Let's look at what cash has actually done. Over the 30 years to June 2025, Australian cash returned 4.1% a year. $10,000 left alone, all interest reinvested, became $33,677. That sounds fine. It is not fine. And here is why. That 4.1% is a pre-tax number. Interest is the most heavily taxed return in the Australian system. There is no capital gains discount on it. There are no franking credits attached to it. Every dollar of interest you earn is added to your income and taxed at your full marginal rate every year, whether you spend it or not. Take someone in the 30% bracket. Add the Medicare levy. 32%. 4.1% after tax becomes 2.79%, and inflation over the exact same 30 years was 2.6. So the real return, what you actually earned after the tax office and after the cost of living, was 0.18% per year. Let that land. $10,000. 30 years of perfect discipline. Never touched it. Never missed a month. Never panicked. At the end of it, you have a real gain of $565. 30 years. $565. And I want to be very clear that this is not the worst case. This is cash doing its job properly over a period that included some of the highest interest rates in a generation. Now, if saving alone doesn't get you there, what does the target even look like? There is a rule of thumb that circulates in every corner of the personal finance world, and it goes like this. Work out what you spend in a year. Multiply it by 25. That is your financial freedom number, the pile that funds you without a paycheck. Spend $60,000 a year, you need $1.5 million. Spend $80,000, you need $2 million. It's a clean rule. It's a useful rule. And almost everyone who repeats it has missed what it actually says. The 25 times rule is not a savings rule. It is an investing rule. It has always been an investing rule. That number only produces a retirement that lasts because the money inside it is assumed to be earning something meaningful. Watch what happens when it isn't. take 25 times your annual expenses and put it in the best savings account in the country. Not the base rate, the good one. Now draw down what you need each year, rising with inflation, the way real life actually works. At Cash's long run, real return after tax, that 0.18%, your 25 times runs out in 26 years. Retire at 65. The money is gone at 91. At today's rates, where the best savings account in Australia has a negative real return after tax, it runs out in 24 years. Gone at 89. Now take exactly the same pile, same number, same discipline, same 25 times, and put it into a diversified portfolio of shares, earning something like 5% above inflation. It never runs out. The capital outlives you. Same target, same sacrifice. Two completely different endings, and run it the other way. If you insist on holding cash, the multiple you actually need is not 25. It is around 29 times your annual expenses on long-run numbers, and around 32.5 times at today's rates. The saver has to accumulate more than twice as much money as the investor to fund the identical retirement. That is the price of safe. Nobody quotes it to you, but you pay it. You don't have to take an overseas rule of thumb on faith. Australia has published its own number. The Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia, ASFA, publishes what it calls the retirement standard. It is the benchmark our whole industry uses. As at February 2026, they revised it upward for the first time in 3 years. To retire at 67 with a comfortable lifestyle, ASFA says a single homeowner needs $630,000. A couple needs $730,000. Now go and read the methodology, which almost nobody does. Those figures assume you own your home. They assume you draw down all of your capital. They assume you receive a part-age pension. And they assume an investment earning rate of 6%. 6%. Australia's official benchmark for a comfortable retirement is conditional on you being an investor. It does not work in a savings account. It was never designed to. The number 630,000 is not a savings target. It is what an invested 630,000 can do. Put that same 630,000 in cash, earning what cash earns after tax, and over 30 years, it supports somewhere around $21,600 a year in today's money. The comfortable standard costs around $55,000. You hit the number. You still miss the life. Let me give you the version of this that I think about most. 2 people. Same job, same salary, same $1,000 a month set aside every month for 30 years. Neither one ever misses. Neither one is smarter or luckier or more disciplined than the other. Both of them contribute $360,000 of their own money. The first person puts it in a savings account. After tax, on Cash's long-run return, they finish with $558,711. The second person puts it into Australian shares, which returned 9.3% a year over those same 30 years. They finish with $1,802,630. The gap is roughly $1.24 million. Not from working harder, not from earning more, not from taking some wild speculative swing, from putting the same dollar, saved the same way, in a different container. I should be straight with you about that comparison. The shares figure is before tax and assumes every distribution is reinvested. The cash figure is after tax. That looks unfair, and in one direction it is, but it points at something real. Interest is taxed every year at full rates without relief. Long-term share ownership is taxed differently. You're taxed on gains when you sell, not while you hold, and Australian dividends often arrive with franking credits attached. The asymmetry isn't a trick of the presentation. The asymmetry is the point. So, what do you actually do with this? First, Do not stop saving. I want to be extremely clear about that because the internet is full of people who will take this argument one step too far. Money you need in the next 3 years belongs in cash. Full stop. Your emergency fund belongs in cash. Your house deposit belongs in cash. Money that has a job to do soon belongs somewhere it cannot fall 30% the month before you need it. For that money, none of this arithmetic applies. Because the alternative is worse. Saving is how you buy safety. It is very good at that. It is the best tool we have for it. But safety is not freedom. And you cannot save your way into something saving does not produce. Second, everything beyond that horizon. The money that has no job for a decade or more has to be doing more than sitting still. Third, and this is the part that surprises people, you are probably already an investor. If you have superannuation, you own shares. Right now, someone chose the investment option for you, possibly at random, possibly a decade ago, and it has been quietly compounding ever since. For most Australians, the largest pool of invested money they will ever own is one they never consciously chose. Go and look at it. Look at what option you're in. Look at what it costs you. That single afternoon is worth more than every coffee you have ever skipped. The riskiest thing you can do with your money is nothing at all. Not because doing nothing feels dangerous. It doesn't. It feels responsible. It feels careful and adult and safe. And that is exactly why it works on us. But 2.6% a year does not feel like anything either. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up as a loss on a statement. It just takes half of what you built over 25 years and hands you back a number that looks bigger than it is. You have already done the hard part. Saving is the hard part. Choosing month after month for years to have less now so you can have more later. That is the discipline almost nobody has, and you have it. Don't spend that discipline on a container that gives you 0.18%. Saving buys safety. Investing buys freedom. They are not the same product, and you cannot substitute one for the other. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, keep learning, keep compounding,